Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach, and as always, I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
What up? You know, this was a bad idea that Rick put this year.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's only for YouTube.
Whenever you see a long shaft, you can't help but stroke it.
Can't help it.
Can't help it. Welcome to the show, everybody, where we bring you all of our nerdy news, fun takes, and future Marvel movies ideas. You can make sure you can follow the podcast on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All that information is at nerdswithfriendspodcast.com. If you want to help support the show, you can check out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends and help donate $1, $5, whatever you can. It really helps the show out. Plus, there's some cool rewards on there as well. We do appreciate that.
Does that translate to like the other nations where we get hits, like Ireland and I forgot where else?
Yeah, it should like translate to British pounds and
Nice.
euros and all that crap too, I'm pretty sure. If not, they're really missing out on that opportunity. Today we're on the show, we're going to be talking a little bit about Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, the Legend of the 10 Rings, newest Marvel movie out. That'll be after the break. We'll talk a little bit about the latest What If episodes too, and the newest one being the zombie episode. And before we get to nerdy confessions, I had like a mind blowing moment today when I was just thinking about stuff, and I came up with a crazy connection. So you ever have those moments where like everything you've known has been like questioned? You're like, oh my god, I can't believe I never saw that before.
No, probably, but I can't think of it.
So here's like an example would be like, I remember when I was in like, I don't know, middle school or high school or something, I realized that Arby's, Arby's.
Yeah. All the meats?
All the meats, right? So Arby's, the name Arby's is RB, like roast beef.
Oh.
Right?
Are you sure that's accurate?
So it's the connection is crazy, but it's actually the dude's initials who started it, which is way less fun. But it turned out to be roast beef anyway, right?
So what the fuck the hat has to do with anything?
Well, cowboys that like roast beef and stuff, cowboys, cows. But that's not what I'm talking about today. It's in the same vein, but it's has to do with a movie we all know and love, Jurassic Park, right? So remember in Jurassic Park when they're in the helicopter and they're getting some turbulence and stuff, and everyone starts to put on their seatbelts.
Yeah, and then
Alan Grant can't do it, right? He's got two of the female sides of the thing, and he just ties them together, right? Yep. Did you realize that was foreshadowing to the dinosaurs being able to mate even though they're both female?
What?
Right? So a big underlying theme of Jurassic Park is that life finds a way, right? Because all the dinosaurs are female, but then they find eggs later. They're actually hatching their own dinosaur eggs. Because mankind tried to control them, but life finds a way. And that was him. He had two female ends of the seatbelt. He couldn't figure it out, so he just tied them together. Still works. Life found a way.
If he had two of the male ends, it wouldn't have worked. They would have just come off.
Yeah, they're too short anyway. Those are always shorter.
I don't know if I buy that, but all right, that's interesting.
I mean, I don't know if it is either. I just thought about it. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, this isn't something you read.
No, it's not something I read. I just thought of it.
Okay. We'll throw that out there.
I mean, it seems pretty legit.
I guess. I don't know.
Steven Spielberg's just a crafty bitch. He's just like, oh, man, no one's ever going to get this until 2021.
I had no idea where you were going with this. I'm like, what the fuck is he going with? Okay. All right. Interesting.
Interesting take, huh? All right. Well, thank you for bearing with me during all that. Arby's, roast beef. Come on. Jesus Christ. Let's get back to some nerdy stuff and do some nerdy confessions where we confess the things that make us nerds. Why don't you go first?
I got tricked. At Nerdy Confessions, I got duped.
Okay.
So I wanted to listen to audiobooks. I'm sure I've talked about it. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I wanted...
Because you don't know how to read.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's easier that way. It's like someone telling me a story. So I wanted a werewolf horror story. But I don't know why in books... werewolf stories tend to be romance novels.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yep.
So I just Googled werewolf, books, non-romantic. And I got a list from Goodreads. I'm like, all right, Goodreads. All right, I believe it.
Yep.
And, Stephen King's Silver Bullet was on there. I was like, I'll get eventually around to that one. So let me try a new one. Got to one called The Last Werewolf. Started off great.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty gory, and it was
Nice.
cool, and it was interesting. And then it ends up being a fucking romance novel. I got tricked.
I got tricked.
It's still,
Dude.
and I don't understand why. And of course, it's a trilogy. Now I have to see where it goes. I'm on
Yeah.
the second one now, but I don't understand how werewolves turned into that. Like,
I think a lot of it comes from the old Beauty and the Beast, and it comes from a female desire to tame the wildness inherent in
I
mankind.
forgot you majored in writing. Of course, you had some.
I mean, I think that's, if I had to guess, that would be my assumption, is that it comes from, like, men traditionally are like the gruff outdoorsmen, they're wild and crazy, and then women just want to tame that beast and turn him into a gentleman.
But isn't that weird? Because they fall in love with the beast, but then they want to change him. Well, then that's not the person you fell in love
I
with.
know, exactly. They like that wild side. They want to keep that there
Just every now and then.
every now and then.
I
know?
did
So they're
enjoy.
a few martinis deep, you know what I'm
There you
saying?
I did enjoy that. I like it when a writer will change something a little bit from the lore. Not anything that's crazy like fucking Twilight, but like little things that make it interesting. So werewolves are horn dogs, consistently horny all the time, except when they're like about to change or right after the change. And vampires don't have sex, which I thought was awesome.
That's, if you're going to live forever, what's the point?
It's interesting. Like werewolves get a little bit dumber, vampires get smarter, but they lose their sex drive.
Oh, you're talking about the inherent differences between uneducated, dumb ruffians who can't stop having sex.
Yep.
And the elitist liberals who are constantly waiting for the right time.
I don't know. If I had to choose between that, like I'll take the werewolf. Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. I would take the elitist because I'm an elitist. I'm just kidding. But not really. Anyway, that's interesting. What was the book called?
The Last Werewolf.
The Last Werewolf. Was it about indeed the last werewolf?
Oh, dude, I don't want to spoil it for people if they're gonna go and read it. You know.
God. My nerdy confession is I am currently rereading the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. The fourth book in the second series, if that makes sense, is coming out in, I think, November. So I'm trying to get through all of them again. So I, refresh my memory of what happened in them.
You know, if you ever don't want to do that, there's a great wiki page for it.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's the Brandon Sanderson fandom is crazy. Like the Coppermind is the one.
Yes, that's the one I was
that
talking about.
has all of the, Cosmere stuff built into it. But yeah, I enjoy those books, so I decided I would go through them again. And one thing that's cool is that on the second read through, or in this case, I'm listening through them this time. You pick up a lot of things that you missed, that, connections to other books, connections from the Wax and Wane, which is the Era 2 Mistborn, tying back to the first series of books. It's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really cool, this like universe and lore that he's built. And, it boggles my mind how he figures out how to keep all these characters and stuff like
he has a team.
I know, but still.
He has he has a team where anytime he mentions someone or something, they have to go in their own system, be like, all right, what did he say previously about this person?
That's true. Yeah, I have seen that. But I mean, these are some of his earlier books too. I mean, the second Mistborn series came out later, but like the first ones was his like first successful trilogy of books. And so I imagine the team was probably just his wife or something and his editor. But now, yeah, he has a bunch of like lore people who just like, Brendan, you can't do that. He actually died on page 256 of the third book.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, it's really cool. It's and one thing that's cool is because I read the first Mistborn series, then I read like some Stormlight or something like that, and then I came back and did the second Mistborn series. And doing them right after one another because they take place about 300 years or something like that apart from each other. But reading them one after another, you can more easily tie them back and kind of figure out how they connect. So really, really cool, really fun. You guys should check it out. Mistborn, I think, is probably the best series. If you want to try to check out Brandon Sanderson, it's like the best starter series because the books are generally shorter than like say Stormlight Archive, which is like 1,200 pages.
The only thing for me is I think the ending on the last one didn't stick the landing too well.
Oh my god, I love it so much. I love that ending. You didn't like it?
I'll let the listeners decide.
Did you like the ending of Dark Tower?
Yes, I loved it.
Yeah, I like that too. Very cool. Alrighty. Well, we're going to take a quick little break for a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we will be talking Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, as well as a little what if, too. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, so I think we should touch on What If real quick. And spoiler alert for the latest episode of What If.
Although it would have been a week when people were listening.
Exactly. So keep up, people. Jesus. So the latest episode that came out, Marvel Zombies.
It was the one that I was looking forward to the most. It
was also my least favorite.
Yeah, kind of on the same page. I did like the design of zombies. I just wish, like, the thing, maybe because the Doctor Strange was so great and, like,
Sure.
It had a tonal shift. Like, it wasn't this happy-go-lucky. No, it was a fucking sad story, like,
Right.
from beginning to end. And I wish that they had treated that the same way with the Marvel Zombies because they tried to make it.
Oh, you didn't like how every zombie was like a fucking pun-tastic pun?
Yeah, and, like, they were trying to make it light of everything. Like, I don't know. They should have just gone full dark, and it would have been great.
Yeah, I think a big problem that they had was that everything's on Disney Plus, which is notorious for like censoring, mature themes or whatever, and like having the whole point of Marvel Zombies is you have Earth's mightiest heroes like the Avengers and Spider-Man and everyone involved in the Marvel universe, and most of them are turning into mindless killing machines. And like you have a small group of superheroes who are still trying to survive, and they're having to fight against and like decapitate and dismember their friends and allies. And there is just no gravity to any of that in this series.
That was the other thing. Like
show.
they didn't have any remorse for having to kill their former
Right.
friends.
Bucky having to kill Captain America. Like, that should have been, like, a big deal. And he's like, sorry, Cap. And he just kind of walks away like, no big deal.
Or Falcon, when he sees, like, I'm actually not sad about that.
Yeah, he's like, I should be sad, but I'm not. And I was like, Jesus Christ, bro. What's going on? And it was just very interesting to see. And then in the episode, too, they eventually track down, like, this signal or whatever, and it turns out it's Vision. And he's got Scarlet Witch, like, held in as a zombie, held in a cage. And he's been basically feeding people to her because she's too powerful to try and cure, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's pretty dark and sinister and stuff. But then he immediately changes his stance on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I was wrong. We should get out of here. And I'm like, what the fuck? You chopped off Black Panther's leg and fed it to her, and he never brought up the fact that you shouldn't be doing this? Like, you changed so quickly.
I feel like that. I mean, I understand it's an alternate reality, but I feel like they kind of fucked up on Vision's character. Like, he's very logical, like, because he has a soul, but he's still part computer, where he tries to work things out logically. And
right.
I think you would have known, like, all right, if I can't fix her, then there's no point to this.
Well, that's the thing, is like he also loves her, so that's fouling up his logical sense. So I can understand where it comes from, but the fact that, and I think that's kind of like a byproduct of these episodes being so short and having to introduce an entire like alternate universe. Like the Marvel Zombies comics was like 10 issues long or something like that.
Well, there was like different story arcs, and that's
the first one, the original one,
yeah,
it was like 10 or 12 issues long, and so you can cover a lot more, especially when you have like block text describing, some of the events and stuff. When you're doing a 23 or 25 minute episode, it's a lot to try to, insert in there. And I just don't think a lot
I
of
think
it
the
landed.
pacing was just off because, I mean, the Doctor Strange one did it perfectly. It
Yeah.
told a great one shot where it didn't feel too long. It didn't feel rushed, where this one felt super rushed.
I think all the things they were trying to cover in the Marvel Zombies one was just too much. You wanted to tell a story of how the virus got started with, basically Janet Van Dyne down in the quantum realm had it. It was some quantum
Which
disease.
I knew they weren't going to do the original, but I felt like it was a cop-out one because in the original comics, they're not actually zombies. They're Deadites from Ash versus the Evil Dead. So he, from another reality, got in with the Deadite and the Deadite managed to bite one person, and then it just went crazy. And that's why they were saying, like, that's why superheroes can't, like, Wolverine couldn't heal from it because it wasn't a virus. It was actually,
like a curse.
A curse. So, and they kept their, like, they could still think. Like, Spider-Man, in the comics, Spider-Man, like, eats Aunt May and eats MJ, and then once he's done, he feels regret, and he's like, I'm never doing that again. I never do that again. And then the hunger takes him over, and then he eats someone else, and then he feels regretful again. Like it was a lot darker, and I just wish they had done something.
Well, I mean, they definitely show that they kept some of their personality. Like Iron Man still knows how to use his Iron Man suit. Doctor Strange still does magic, and so does Wong. So they have a little bit of that. But yeah, like even when Happy Hogan dies and Peter Parker has to deal with that, and you find out later that Aunt May is gone too, it's like I get it, he's supposed to be like this upbeat kid, but like that would destroy Peter Parker.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean? Like the whole second Spider-Man movie was about him dealing with Tony Stark's death, so I don't know, it was kind of a miss for me. It was still fun to watch and see what they did. And then seeing, Thanos come down at the end and he's all zombified, which I don't know why he landed in Wakanda and why he was already a zombie, but, that was another thing. It ended very abruptly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was like, okay, so you introduced this idea of where Thanos with the glove, he's only missing one stone,
Which
and they're going
bringing to him.
right to him.
Right.
Like, he could have, like, I'm pretty sure with the glove, he could have stopped all of that, or at least kept people away.
Right, 100%. You think like some rando zombies could fucking stop Thanos with 4 of the 5 Infinity Stones? That doesn't make any sense. So it was kind of a misstep, I think. Like it was cool seeing Scott Lang in it. Paul Rudd doing his dad jokes and stuff. That was kind of fun. But there was too many jokes. It was just joke. Yeah. And it's like, dude, this is serious shit. People are getting eaten.
And I think that's where it missed for me. It's like, dude, yeah, all the Avengers, well, the majority of the Avengers were gone. Most of the human population is gone, but they're still like doing jokes. Like,
yeah, I couldn't understand that.
I think it was just like, all right, if kids are watching this, we still have to try to make it light, so maybe they don't, I don't know, take the impact so hard. I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of.
I mean, at some point, the people at Disney need to realize there's not just children watching their content. You know what I mean? Like, let's have some stuff for us adults who pay for everything. You know what I mean? There's not a kid out there who has his own Disney Plus account. Everyone who has it is our age, or, around our age or older. And it's like, give us some of the stuff we want,
Or maybe make like a separate, like do like the kid Disney Plus, and
well,
or just name it something else.
Netflix does it, and so does I think HBO Max, where there's like a children's setting. So depending on who's like watching, when you select your profile, it changes. Like, why not just do that and just have, some more mature stuff on there?
You're just still mad about Splash, huh? Where they covered her butt.
Where they covered her butt with that stupid looking CG hair. It was so bad. If you guys haven't seen that, check out Splash, the Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah movie about the mermaid. She was showing too much butt crack. It's not like her like vag was hanging out or anything like that. It was her butt, and it was too much for the Disney people. So they elongated her hair through CG, and it looks stupid.
Yeah, it looked really bad. They should have just cut the scene instead.
Yeah, or like they can go in and digitally like seal up her butt crack. I don't know. Like you can do a lot.
Mermaids don't have butt cracks.
They just don't. I don't know. They poop out their mouths like fish, or I don't know. But yeah, it's just seems so strange. But yeah, Marvel Zombies kind of a miss for me. I'm still excited to see what the rest of the series is because other than that, it's been pretty good.
Was this the 5th episode? 5th or 6th?
Let's see. We had Captain Britain, which wasn't really Captain Britain. Captain Carter, I guess we should call it. Star-Lord. Star-Lord / Black Panther.
Was that Doctor Strange?
The murder mystery one.
Oh, that's right. And then Doctor Strange.
Then Doctor Strange.
So this is the 5th one.
So this is the 5th one. And I think there's supposed to be 12. So we still got a while.
So one out of 5? You know?
That's not bad. 20%. Hopefully they'll recover from that one. Just kind of missed the mark for me. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. And you know, like I read the original Marvel Zombies, and it was a fun, like, interesting take. But I'm not like it. I was never a big Marvel Zombies fanboy anyway. So it's not like I had huge hopes for it. I was just kind of interested to see what they did, but still kind of a letdown. But let us know what you think of the Zombies episode. Do you like the joke a minute format? Like there's some really bad ones.
Also, who was the guy that just showed up? Look at was he Russian? I don't remember what he.
Oh, that's the guy from Ant-Man, the Baba Yaga guy.
Yes,
that he's from Ant-Man. He's part of Scott Lang's crew.
Oh, see, because I only remember the Latin guy.
Oh, of course.
Well, I mean, you
white racist. Forget about the Eastern Europeans.
Well, because like he stole, like when he's retelling everything.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
he
that's super
fucking
funny.
steals the fucking scene.
Now that's the guy who played Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I remember.
Yeah, he talks about Baba Yaga in the thing, which is why it was kind of the joke, and it was Scarlet Witch.
You know, I would love to have a show with the Latin dude
Michael Pena.
From Ant-Man.
Yeah.
With Ben Kingsley's character from Shang-Chi.
Ooh,
that would be fucking hilarious.
Spoilers already. Okay, let's talk Shang-Chi.
Oh, shit, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you haven't seen Shang-Chi, I'm fair warning, I'm going to screw up and call it Shang-Chi. I know that they've made it a point that Shang-Chi. But I've lived my entire life saying it the other way. So I apologize in advance. If you haven't seen it, it might be a good time to pause the podcast and go watch it. Because we are going to be talking some spoilers, and we're going to let you know, should you watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? So let's get that first, like, baseline opinion. What did you think of it without spoiling anything?
I really liked it, but I have feelings about it.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same vein. I really enjoyed it. Like, I had a really fun time. Definitely some problems with the movie though too. You know what I mean? It wasn't like one of those like perfect movies. I think the plot goes kind of all over the place. Could have used some more editing, I think, or I don't know. Honestly, I think it could have been better done maybe as a series too, like
Sure.
Because there's a lot of character development that they tried to cram into the 2-hour movie. So, but now we got that out of the way. Go see Shang-Chi. It's overall, it's good.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be down to watch it again. I mean, I'm going to say what my feelings are about it when we get to it.
But yeah, let's talk some spoilers. So, brief plot overview first. So
it's a reskinned Wakanda.
A
Black Panther.
Yeah, very much so. Or, I mean, similar, so to speak. So Shang-Chi is the son of... I don't remember the guy's name. Zhu. I should look this up. He's the son of this powerful warlord guy who is like 7,000 years old.
1,000.
What?
He was 1,000.
He was like 7,000.
He had them for 1,000 years.
Whatever. He was 6,000 before. I don't know. Yeah. So he's very, very old, and the reason why he's able to be so old is that he somehow found these 10 rings that instead of being the ring, like actual finger rings, like in the actual Mandarin, like from the comic books, they're bracelets, so they go up his arm.
See, and that's actually one of the biggest points. Like, I mean, even though I knew it was going to happen from the previews.
Same as Zhu Wenwu.
But like
Zhu Wenwu.
The 10 rings are not the 10 rings at all to the comics, unless they're going to plan on doing things differently. But each ring accesses a different power.
Right.
And they just, Nope, nowhere near that.
Yeah, and I mean that maybe they'll change that later on, where he only had a base understanding of what they could do and stuff. But yeah, in the comic book, the Mandarin was first of all a Iron Man bad guy, right?
Yeah.
That was primarily where he was from, and each one of the rings did something different. You're right. So I don't remember all the different.
It was like fire, ice, time,
Something like they're kind of very similar to the Infinity Stones, where like each one kind of had its own had its own specialty kind of thing, and they basically they were like an alien. Oh, here maybe this little picture. Influence creates various forces that cause the body to undergo change. Spin decelerates time around the wearer. Daimonic, irresistible urge to propel into the unknown, creates loyalty, creates obsession. Incandescence contains the miniature heart of the star and scorches the air before it, so like fire. Lightning creates electrical discharge. Get out of here, all this other. Oh my god. How do I get this to?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
But
yeah, each one does its own little thing. Oh, that's what you have to do. Nightbringer creates a malleable darkness, a dark light. Spectral winds up and warps the air itself. So it does. Each one does a different thing. They did not do that. They all basically shoot out like from his arms, and he can whip them around and block.
Like, don't get me wrong. They did some really cool stuff with it. It's just not anything close to the comics.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, and they were Maclon pieces of technology.
So that I was going to get into that later.
Oh,
but
okay.
They're an alien race.
Yeah. Which is where, like, isn't that where Fin Fang Foom?
Yeah. In fact, it's their rings that he has.
Right. Yeah, and that's so. I think one of the I guess we'll keep going with the plot. So, Sean, who has dropped a G in his name to be more Americanized. He has been living in America. He works as a valet with his best friend, Katie, and kind of going nowhere. And then all of a sudden, like, assassins try to attack him, and he whips out, and he's like super master of Kung Fu, right? Because he's actually Shang-Chi. Find out that he was sent by his father years ago to come hunt down and murder the guy who killed his mother. And he was trained from a young age to be like the world's best like ninja assassin, essentially. And he comes over here, kills the guy.
It's Chinese, bro. Ninjas are fucking Japanese.
Yeah, but they were still I don't know, like Chinese ninja, whatever their equivalent is, where you're an assassin who uses martial arts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he comes over, kills the guy, but then doesn't want to return home because he can't really live with himself. So he starts a normal life, and Katie becomes his friend. Then his father
I wanted to bring up. I thought it was weird that they were both, she was from San Francisco, but had like a New York accent. I thought that was like definitely East
like
accent.
Brooklyn accent. Yeah, I think Awkwafina has been accused of putting that voice on. Like when she's talking normally, she doesn't do as much of that accent inflection. So maybe it's part of her persona. I don't know. So you also find out more about his dad and his mom. His mom was like part of this like society of protectors who live in this fantasy world where all like the Chinese folklore things come from, like the nine-tailed fox, the dragons, the lions, the things you see throughout Chinese mythology. They all live in this altered realm, and they're tasked with protecting this one door that has this evil thing behind it.
That's what I will say. What I thought was amazing. All the creatures looked
they
amazing.
Looked great.
They all
amazing.
Looked great. The dragon too. They looked amazing.
Yeah, and so the Shang Zhu Wenwu, Shang's dad, was seeking out this place because apparently they taught the martial arts of the gods, like this ultimate battling martial arts, and he wanted to learn it to become more powerful because he's this warlord. He ends up meeting his mom, they fight a little bit, but then she's like joking around with him, like, super Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style, and they end up falling in love, having a baby. He gives up the 10 rings for a while to raise his family, but then she gets killed from one of his previous enemies, and so sets him back on a path of revenge. But he starts hearing voices that of his mom saying, "Hey, I'm trapped behind this gate that they're guarding. Come get me. Come let me out." Turns out it's a soul-sucking monster.
The Dark Dweller.
Dark Dweller or whatever. And, Shang-Chi has to help defeat it. That's the story in a nutshell.
Right. And another, not issue, but what they did is they merged two characters. Like, they're the Fear Lords, and they're other dimensional creatures or deities, whatever. One feeds on fear, which is who the Dark Dweller is, but then they merge it with one called Klaku, some weird one, where it does suck souls and it does have little creatures and it kind of looks like a dragon. But I don't know why they named it the Dark Dweller when they could have just named it the other villain. But I thought that was kind of a big villain for him to handle in his first hero movie.
Well, here's the thing: is they introduce that threat like in the last half hour of the movie,
right?
And then you're supposed to be like, "Oh shit, it's this giant thing. How's he going to handle it?" It's like, well, he only found out about it, 15 minutes ago. So I'm sure the movie's only got so much left. I'm sure he'll figure it out.
You're right.
I think that was poorly handled. I think that should have been introduced further on, like even if it's more of like his mom telling him the stories of what's behind there and stuff like that, in the flashback sequences. There should have been like a more of a build up to that creature. Because the whole time you think you're,
it's going to be him versus his dad.
It's going to be him versus his dad, him and his sister finally reconciling and like fighting him together or something, right?
Dude, I felt so bad for his sister.
Xialing.
Nobody loved this kid. Well, maybe they loved her, but no one took an interest to this kid. Dad, I got to train my son to be an assassin. I want to learn too. No, get the fuck out of here. That's one thing they did keep from Chinese culture. They were putting the women down, dude. Like, it was so fun.
Well, to be fair, what the training that Shang-Chi went through was child abuse. So,
but she wanted to. She's like, I wanted it.
Oh, okay. So if the kids like beat me up, you have to beat them up, Christian? Jesus Christ.
She just wanted equal treatment, bro.
Yeah.
And then they show Shang-Chi's mom training him too in her martial arts, like training him, and he's like, You don't see her doing that with her daughter.
No one loved the daughter, that's for sure.
And then Shang-Chi leaves.
I do. I like her boss bitch haircut. That's what I liked.
When Shang-Chi goes and murders the dude that his dad wanted, he didn't come back for 6 years. I'll be back in a couple days.
Like, I'll be back in a couple days.
She waited 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years later or whatever.
By the cemetery where he said to be back. Like, dude. Like,
no wonder she's so angry.
Yeah, I was like, dude, she got shat on by everyone in the movie.
Right. Yeah, that was a pretty rough stuff. Also, there's a fun scene. I guess it's fun. I say it's fun, even though I didn't like it, where they're going to the fight club, and you see this in the trailer, where you see Wong from Doctor Strange fighting the Abomination.
Yes.
Why was the Abomination in there?
Okay, so I was fine with that. My question was, Wong is always the conservative one to Doctor Strange. Like, hey, man, don't do anything out of hand. Don't get crazy.
Yeah.
Why would he go to a fight club? Like, and also, they were friends after. They had planned the fight.
That's the thing. The whole point of the Abomination is you're like, what if you get a more aggressive Hulk who doesn't want to contain himself,
right,
who doesn't want to restrain his power and aggression? That's the Abomination. But meanwhile, he's making deals with Wong to, like,
does Wong need money? Like, I don't understand. He fucking Abomination threw the match.
He's obviously a showman. He just wants to put on a show.
Well, because he's supposed to be.
We also saw a guy who had the Extremist from Iron Man 3.
Oh, I didn't see him.
He was as they were walking through. And they were walking through the preliminary fights. It's like, oh no, you're coming to the main thing.
So the
guy with the red. That's what it looked like anyway.
I didn't see this, but I read about it. Someone pointed out that one of the widows from the Black Widow movie was in there fighting.
I think she was fighting the Extremist guy.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure. But like, yeah, the Abomination thing seemed kind of out of nowhere. I could have sworn there was another like dragon-looking dude in the Marvel universe, not Fin Fang Foom. But he was like the
Abomination has little fins on
Yeah, but I think there was another dude who had that, and I was like, oh, it could have been someone like in the kung fu realm, but it's whatever.
But this would have mean Shield would have let him out of the raft. Like, I don't know. It just seems like
it was very out of place, and it springs up a bunch of questions. And I'm just like, why? Why is this? How does Wong know him? How did the Abomination get his shit under control? Like, I don't know. It seemed very strange. Like they threw it in there to be a fun trailer bait thing, but it
worked. I was like, yo, why are they fighting? And then when we
don't know.
I guess we still don't know.
Yeah, whatever. And then I don't know what the character's name is. They showed on this little thing. This one, the face mask one, like the ultimate not ninja teacher, who's just like always beating the shit out of Shang-Chi as a little kid, gets taken out like instantly.
It was a soul sucker.
Yeah, but like I thought there was going to be a big showdown where Shang-Chi finally mastered the master, Nope, did not happen. Don't even know that character's name. We also had the return of Trevor Slattery, the fake Mandarin.
I loved him so much.
Don't get me wrong. I love that character, and I think his portrayal is amazing, but I felt that there was a touch too much of him. You know what I mean?
No. I don't think there was enough. Oh, okay. I would have liked to see more of him in it.
More of him? I don't know.
Well, they had to tie the loose end of that he was actually not the holder of the 10 rings, and that he used the fear of the 10 rings, to inspire all this fucking fear in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I like the inclusion of him. I just thought that there was a little bit too much of him going back and forth with the little fantasy animal thing, the little no head thing,
the little no head pig dragon.
Exactly.
Hairy pig dragon.
The hairy pig dragon thing with no face. Overall, though, I think it was very good. I'd say probably the best fight choreography we've seen in the Marvel movies.
Oh, I've heard people say that too, man. But
aside from like a couple of the Captain America ones, did a real good job. I think.
I would say that's insulting Daredevil's hall scenes.
I said movies.
That's fair. Okay.
Because I specifically knew that Daredevil was better. You forget that that's my favorite Marvel property.
No, it was great. I did get a lot of Jackie Chan vibes, like in the bus. Like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, using the environment and like having a bit of physicality and comedy to the fighting was awesome. It felt very much like the old Hong Kong kung fu movies for sure. And then I think that I'm not the biggest Awkwafina fan, but I thought she was fine in this.
I thought she was pretty funny.
Yeah, she had some good lines and stuff, and I thought like, even though she's a comedic character, there was times where she wasn't being like jokey, and that's fine. I think that balanced it out really well. And I also like that she wasn't just love interest that's along for the ride for no reason. Like maybe they will later on, but throughout this movie, they were just homies. Very clearly, they're just homies.
Yeah,
and I like that. I think that's it's a nice way to mix up the Marvel formula where it's like, oh, that's a girl that's about the same age as the main actor. Yeah, they're probably gonna fall in love with each other. I think that was a good choice. But yeah, I think overall, maybe it sounds like I'm shitting on it a little bit, but I think it was a good movie. I enjoyed it more than Black Widow. Again, Black Widow is just kind of at a weird time. But those were my biggest problems with it, was that the big threat came out of nowhere, and like I didn't give a shit about it. It was like, okay, we introduced this thing that is this big threat, and you should be afraid of it, but we don't really know what it's doing or how bad it was. We never saw the destruction of what it had done before.
Right.
We don't have any frame of reference for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. It did feel like I agree that it was way too.
It was like slapped in there. You know what I mean? We had built up the dad for so long, or like I said, the ninja trainer guy lady. We built those guys up so we knew how threatening they were. Okay, this guy's lived for 1,000 years. He runs a secret organization that controls all these things in the world. Like, oh, he's going to be a badass. But then it's like, oh no, his son just is better at the rings than he is, And
That fight scene was amazing. That I would say was one of the better fight scenes when it was him.
I will say it gives me hope for a Dragon Ball Z movie, like a live action movie, like that. That's what I would imagine it to be like.
Yeah,
where he's got the rings like circling around him and stuff. That was cool. The thing that I thought was stupid was when he starts riding a dragon and he does like the karate chop down from the air. I was like, oh.
With the rings.
Yeah, but it just turned into a big CGI fest. You know what I mean? I was really hoping that we were going to get a much more grounded martial arts movie from this.
That's one of the things, at least I haven't researched this yet, so I may be wrong, but like to the best of my knowledge, Shang-Chi never gets the 10 rings. And like, so this is the thing where also like it bugged me. Like maybe it's because Marvel is stepping into more of the galactic and the interdimensional creatures where a guy, because his big thing is that he's just the world's greatest martial artist. He doesn't have super strength and super anything. But, like, how are you going to put that guy against interdimensional creatures? Right. Unless they built up, like, his fighting ability. Or maybe he's not at his full potential just yet, because Ares is one person who said if there's a human, a mortal man who could challenge a god, it would be Shang-Chi. Right. Because how great he is in martial arts. But, you know, I get it. If they're going to bring in intergalactical enemies, you know, he's going to have to be stronger than a martial artist, but I don't know. I just felt weird that he got the rings.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is the little after credit scene with Captain Marvel and Dr. Bruce Banner, where they're like, "Hey, we don't know where these rings came from. They're not in any of our databases. They're not in any of the books that Doctor Strange has." So it's like, you know, it is trying to set up another threat for like whether it's a Shang-Chi 2 or an Avengers or whatever.
Well, the beacon. Well, they said it was a beacon going off. I think they're going to introduce Fin
Fang Foom.
Yeah.
I you know, I was thinking that
they're obviously not going to name him that.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't. If he's an alien dragon, you can name him whatever you want, right?
Yeah,
but you can't name someone's Chinese dad Fu Manchu like he was in the comic book. Fun fact: comics were racist back in the day. I'm glad that they changed that. But yeah, you can make it Fing Fang Foom. You have to. Like he's one of these iconic bad guys. Yeah, and he's a fucking alien dragon. You know what I mean? You could do that. I thought he was going to be the main bad guy when the beast starts coming out of the thing, and I'm like, oh, that's not him.
When I saw him, I was like, I hope that's not him. Right. Which some people were speculating, but no, I think the ring is calling out to him.
Right. Yeah. So maybe setting up for that in the future. I would love. I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but I would love if they had like a Shang-Chi, Iron Fist, Daredevil like team up, where it's just like the fucking and give Iron Fist some time to train for sure. But I would love to see like a straight up martial arts movie where they're just like taking down the hand together.
It would be awesome, but
it's never going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They've gone too far. They're like, there's no, I don't know if Disney or the Marvel Cinematic Universe actually wants those street level crime fighters, like, you know, like your Daredevil.
Right. Like the heroes for hire and whatnot. Yeah. It seems, and that's what's kind of a bummer is that, those are kind of fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really enjoyed like the first Ant-Man because the first Ant-Man is like a heist movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, yeah, they're fighting a bad guy, but the bad guy just has similar powers and he's a douchebag business guy. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like, that's how all these superheroes got started. It wasn't always a world-ending event. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But I think with Shang-Chi, they just had to beef him up to be at Avengers level. Right. Like, where he's not going to be the street fighter guy. He's going to be like, you know, all right, I'm going to help save the world. And these rings are what's going to level him up to be able to assist.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Having to get him so that, you know, people like, you know, the Hulk and Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange actually pay attention to him.
Also, no Professor Hulk. Yeah. I feel like no one was talking about that. Like,
yeah, I think that's kind of a hint that they threw in there, was that he still has an arm in a sling. So he's still injured from the happenings from Endgame. And yeah, he's not Professor Hulk anymore. And so I wonder why that is. Did the CG budget run out? Or is there an actual story reason why he switch back to Bruce Banner. I'll be interested to see what happens on that one.
Maybe we get a Gray Hulk.
Gray Hulk. What was his name when he had a business suit on? It was Mr.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, I don't remember.
The pinstriped one.
Yeah, the pinstripe suit. Yeah, where he's like a mobster.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, Shang-Chi, I think it was a decent movie. Definitely worth seeing. Fun action stuff. I just felt like the story was a little all over the place. They tried to cram too much in it. But I think part of the reason they did that is so that they're going to fucking clean up in China. Like that movie is going to make like $10 billion.
Probably.
The first 20 minutes of the movie were not in English. You know what I mean? Like they're going to love it over there. And, rightfully so. I think, they pay for most of these movies anyway, like through investments and whatnot. I think, seeing a lot, and what little I know of Chinese folklore, I was seeing stuff in there that I liked. I'm like, oh shit, it's the, I don't know the names of all of them, but like the nine-tailed fox I know is really big because I remember that from Naruto, which is a Japanese anime. The lions with the big old beefy heads.
They were amazing.
Yeah, they look so good.
They were really good.
And it's hard to make something like that look realistic, but I think they did a really good job, And then even the little squishy dragon furball six-legged
Which
thing.
I had to look up because I didn't believe for a second that was an actual...
Was real?
It was real, yeah.
That's so silly. I love it. But, yeah, go check it out, guys. And let us know what you thought of Shang-Chi. Did it meet your expectations or exceed them? I think that, it's Black Widow left kind of a bad taste in my mouth where it was this movie that I'd waited a long, long time, especially with COVID and everything, to see. And it was kind of a letdown because it felt out of place and it felt like, why are we watching this now? And, the bad guy was lame. And it was just like, ugh. The action was great. And there was some great comedic moments in there and some good character development. But the movie itself didn't really satisfy.
I enjoyed it, but Taskmaster was terrible.
Right. Taskmaster was terrible. This one was like, I had no expectations. You know what I mean? Like I was like, what little I know of Shang-Chi, it seems like a weird movie to make because, all I knew was that he was the master of Kung Fu. You know what I mean? And that's like his whole deal is he's really good at that. Like, I think he helped train Spider-Man at one point. Or was that Iron Fist? Iron Fist.
But he has gone like against Cap and like, some high-level fighters where he's defeated them.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he's supposed to be like the best hand-to-hand fighter. And so I was like, I was expecting some cool fight scenes, which I got. But there was some cool stuff in there too. I really like Simu Liu, the guy who plays him. It's the first thing I've seen Awkwafina in that I didn't actually hate her. So, there's some good stuff in there for sure. Ben Kingsley's always a delight. I think it's definitely worth seeing. Are there any other?
I really enjoyed it, and the stuff I'd say is like stupid, nerdy stuff that like anyone, like any I think average moviegoer is going to go and knows nothing about comics is just going to love the shit out of it.
I think if you're not a super nerd where you're like, meh, this doesn't make sense. Actually. I think you will enjoy it. It's a fun movie for sure. Start to finish, very fun. It's just one of those ones, when you're like sitting at the refrigerator later, you're like, that one scene didn't make any sense. Those are the little problems that it has, which are minor, I think, in the grand scheme of things.
I'm assuming like the Abomination with Wong. I feel like we're gonna get the answer to that in either Far From Home or the Madness with Doctor Strange.
One thing that's very interesting, if between What If and this movie and now Spider-Man, I feel like they're like really getting their money's worth out of Doctor Strange and Wong. You know what I mean?
He's gonna be what Tony's role was,
right?
What Iron Man was.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of taking the helm of the supernatural Avengers.
Well, they don't really have a leader, like in the Avengers, it's usually a struggle between Iron Man and Captain America.
I think a big part of it was that they were going to lean on Black Panther, and I think now that they can't really do that, they're going to have to establish a new character to take over that mantle. So,
which I'm about because Doctor Strange is one of my favorites.
Yeah, you fucking love it. Yeah, and I do too. I think Benedict Cumberbatch is great in that role, and I love Wong too. He's He's just so funny, and like his dry sense of humor is amazing. I'm really juiced on what is coming next from that. We had a comment on our Instagram. I put up a post about Doctor Strange. What if? Let me find it real quick.
I love comments.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. It was from the Tipsy Exchange, which I think we've talked to them before. I believe they're another podcast. Oh my gosh,
yes.
Former guest. And it was pretty interesting what they said on here. She said, "I predict that Christine Palmer will die, and we will meet Clea in the Multiverse of Madness," which is another Doctor Strange side hero. And I don't know what this one says. She says, "I think it's Doctor Strange. The sweatshirt says Columbia, and I don't think he went to Columbia. I think he went somewhere else."
What she's talking about, a lot of people are saying that like the guy in the sweater is not Doctor Strange. That it's Mephisto or or someone who's faking it, who's actually purposely like screwing things up. But yeah. I don't know.
It's possible.
It's not going to be Mephisto though.
I don't think that will be Mephisto. I wouldn't be surprised if Mephisto shows up sometime in the next few movies kind of thing.
I think so, and I told you this off the podcast, but I think so. They were saying that the What Ifs actually is going to take some part, or it is going to be important to the rest of the MCU as we know it. And I think the evil Doctor Strange, the one from the last episode,
right? They might make him into.
I think they might make him Mephisto.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty, like, if they're not doing that, that's a pretty solid way to go, and I think it has the right formula where it would make sense because
he absorbed all these
demons and extraplanar beings and gnomes.
And then when his girlfriend was seeing him, like she was seeing those images, and one of them he had the horns and stuff.
Right. And I think one thing with Marvel is they're very hesitant to just say, "Hey, this guy is the devil." You know what I mean?
Right.
Or this guy is a god. Yes, Loki refers to himself as a god, but they're like, "Oh, well, they're actually aliens." There's always that kind of like hesitancy. But by doing this, it's like, oh, he's not really the devil, but he's Doctor Strange who went the opposite way and has absorbed so much evil that now he is the embodiment of evil.
See, and when they brought Doctor Strange, I was hoping like, okay, now there is magic. They've established magic. I don't think it's going to be that much more of a stress to just say, okay, that is a deity. That is a god.
Right. Yeah. And I think, again, like, things like, the Asgardians, the Celestials, like, how much more powerful do you have to be considered a god?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just do it. Just do it.
So I think we could definitely get there in the next few movies. I think, this phase of Marvel's cinematic universe is going to be real fun. I think there's going to be things happening that like I never thought would happen in movies. And I think it's because that now that like a lot of the mainline superheroes, your Captain America's, Iron Man's, even Black Widow and Hawkeye, though Hawkeye, we'll see a series of, a lot of the main ones are now retiring and we won't see them again for a while, at least. We're having to reach deeper into the Marvel mythos and really pull out some interesting stories. So I'm excited.
I'm still just hoping that they bring Hercules. I hope they do it in Love and Thunder because they've announced.
I feel like that character is right up Taika Waititi's.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So I could definitely see it. But let us know what you think. Did you guys like Shang-Chi? And do you think he's going to be in the next Avengers movie, or do you think he's going to show up somewhere different? I'd be interested to find out. You can let us know on any of our social medias. We'll post something up on Instagram. You guys can input your thoughts. You can check out all that information at nerdswithfriendspodcast.com. You can also support the show at patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. Get yourself some cool rewards. Help buy us new things like microphone cables, mixer. Apparently one channel went bad this morning, so we'll take a look at that. So yeah, any donation helps. We do appreciate it. And thank you to our patrons who are already supporting the show.
Yes,
we couldn't do this without you. Let's raise your names up to the spirit world in Shang-Chi. that goes up there with all the soul suckers. So we do appreciate you guys. And Christian, as always,
It's fun.
fun. I'm excited. I'm glad you're getting to see all your Doctor Strange stuff. I think you're going to be real happy over the next couple of years. So to all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you and good night.